Hi everyone, it's Katie, and today I have another installment of Therapeutic Tarot for you. Today we're going to be exploring a little spread that I like to do called the Wise Mind spread. Now before I jump in, I would like to ask anyone who hasn't watched my introduction to this series to please do so. I'll leave a link below. So firstly, I just wanted to give you a bit of an introduction into Wise Mind. This is kind of the core of DBT. This is the primary lesson of DBT. I think this is going to be a lot easier to explain to you guys, a group of people who are into personal development and spirituality, who are open to intuition and the emotional side of life. I think it's going to be a lot easier to explain to you than the general public, perhaps. I think the reason Wise Mind is so integral to DBT and so important for mental well-being and a healthy, happy life is because our society is so heavily focused on the rationality, on the intellect, on the observable, factual, scientific truth. So Wise Mind is not about rationalizing our emotions. It's not about trying to beat emotional experience out of ourselves. It's not even trying to find some kind of compromise between the two. Wise Mind is asking us to observe mindfully our experience of both the emotional and the rational, and to rise above it, and find a third space within our own selves that is centered, that is mindful, that is calm, and that also kind of starts to incorporate our own personal values, our own personal beliefs, and that little thing we like to call intuition. In my notes that I was given during my time in DBT, some of the things that are listed as really important key parts of Wise Mind include the fact that Wise Mind adds intuitive knowing to emotional responses and logical analysis. It's the calm that follows the storm. It sees or knows something directly and clearly. It grasps the bigger picture. It's the quiet, centered space where a person knows something to be true or valid from deep within, rather than an emotional state. It involves and honors all ways of knowing, by observing, by analyzing, by what is experienced in the body, by action, and by intuition. It asks what's most appropriate and most effective for me. I think a part of learning to find Wise Mind is also learning to appreciate both the emotional and the logical aspects of ourselves. I think this was particularly important in DBT when, for a lot of us, we were really trained through our experience of mental illness to feel like our emotions were our enemy, were bad, were in control of us. Whereas DBT and this process of finding Wise Mind really encouraged us to honor and accept that emotions had a really valid, valuable place in our personal experience of this human experience. That emotions could really help us in a lot of situations. That emotions and delving into that emotional experience could be a really good thing sometimes. Equally, some people might have a bit of an aversion to the logical and rational side of ourselves. Some people might think that that's cold and calculating and has no place. But we were taught in DBT to find those places and to accept that logical, rational thinking has a place in our experience. With all that said, the logical, the emotional, and wise minds. Once you've kind of got a grasp on all of that, I have a spread to share with you. It's called the Wise Mind spread, and basically it's really simple. You probably can guess already what it involves. But it's just a 5-card spread that I think helps me sometimes when I'm struggling to find that core Wise Mind. So this is really helpful in decision making. I think it's a really helpful alternative to like a decision choice spread. Sometimes spreads, for example, we might have 2 or 3 options and we might do a spread offering insight in what each of those options will offer us or what the outcome of those options will be. And I think this Wise Mind spread can be a really helpful alternative to that, because sometimes, you know, those sort of choice spreads, those outcomes of choices spreads, can be a little bit disempowering. I don't think they always are, but sometimes if we rely on tarot to make a choice, that can reduce or remove some of our own personal responsibility, some of our own autonomy. So this wise mind spread, I think, is a really good alternative to that. Rather than asking what should I do, it's how can I come back to that place so that I can make a good decision. So I'm going to take you down to my altar and give you a little bit of an overview of what this spread looks like, and I hope you enjoy. So this is the wise mind spread, and the wise mind spread is a really simple, easy to use spread, and I think that is what makes it helpful for me. I don't like to overcomplicate things, especially when I'm dealing with the more difficult situations. When I'm dealing with this therapeutic tarot stuff, I want it to be simple and easy. So basically how we start is this side on the left is my emotional mind, this side on the right is my rational or logical mind, and in the middle we have wise mind. So card number 1 up the top here basically asks, what is helpful and true about my emotional mind right now? What is my emotional mind offering me that is valuable in this experience? So that the Knight of Pentacles, for example, might be suggesting that my emotional mind is being rather cautious, but that's a beneficial thing for me right now. The card below it, card number 2, is asking basically the opposite. What is my emotional mind offering me right now that is actually limiting me in this situation? This Ten of Pentacles really rings true because I am a total perfectionist and have really high expectations of myself. So this might be suggesting that, you know, those high expectations, those beliefs that of success that I have in my emotional mind, that success means a certain thing and looks like a certain thing, might be hindering me, or perhaps I'm too focused emotionally on the end goal and what that looks like. That might be limiting me right now. Now on the right hand side, it's basically the same two positions except in our logical mind. So card number 3 is, what is my logical mind offering me right now that is helpful, that is valuable in this situation? So the 8 of Swords in my circumstance, I think that might mean that, you know, my logical mind is really aware of my limitations, and that's oftentimes a really helpful thing. And so then we have the 4th card, which is, of course, how is our logical mind limiting us right now? So the King of Pentacles might be indicating that logically we expect to be in charge, that we expect to really know and be aware of all of the details involved in the situation. And card number 5 is wise mind. Where is wise mind for us in this situation? How can we find wise mind in amongst all of this? I think this is a really beautiful card, and I think it could speak quite clearly to going back to basics, of being really mindful of my experience, which wise mind is very, very much rooted in mindfulness, and I think the Page of Pentacles demonstrates that quite beautifully to me. Of focusing on what's really important to us, of getting back to those things that we care about, and of being the student, being prepared to learn and grow as we go. So this, I think, is a really interesting example. Just a brief example. Obviously I would spend quite a bit more time with this, especially with this card here. And these 2 cards can be quite important too, especially with logical mind. I find it really important to kind of find where this rational side of ourselves is limiting us, because as I've mentioned, in our society often our logical rational mind is so much more respected and honoured. So sometimes it can be good to check in with, where is it limiting me? Where is this holding me back? This side of myself that the rest of society would tell me is probably the best one to listen to. Where is it limited? And then of course, this is a wonderful one to journal with. Really just learning from this card, how we can get back to that really core, calm, centered, mindful place of wise mind. So that is the wise mind spread. I really hope you found this interesting or even useful. As always, take what resonates, discard what doesn't. Play around with the spread to find what really works for you. You might find it helpful to just have 3 cards instead of 5. You might want to add a few extra positions. Whatever it may be, experiment and find what works for you. If you have any comments or questions, please leave those below. And if you do go ahead and give this spread a try, I'd love to hear how you find it. How does it go? How did it work for you? So that's it from me this time around. I'll talk to you all again very soon, and much love. Bye.